Hello, everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well. And I welcome again Jaisri ji. Namaste, Jaisri ji.
Hey, Navji.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So wonderful to have you here.
I'm honored to speak with you today.
So we're really excited for our Ayurvedic series, and we had given Jaisri ji had given a we had just brief introduction on our first two videos. So today we'll carry on with some of the questions. And first question I'd like to ask Jaisri ji, in Ayurveda, what is Vata?
This little four-letter word Vata is very pregnant with meaning. Va-ta, Vat. Now, this is one of the tridosha. So Ayurveda is a medical science based in the tridosha, the balance of the three humors or the elements of ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So this word vata, it denotes more qualities of lightness, dryness, subtlety. It's very quick to act. So vata has certain properties. And in the Sankhya philosophy of creation of Ayurveda that we discussed about last time a little bit, that is to say that the creation was designed for a realization process. That souls were then free to leave the heavens, if you will, there's many different words to denote that concept, and became material. So as the materiality was developing from Big Bang to all, these millions of years of distillation, then it was falling into these five principal elements: ether, the space; fire, the transformative agent; air, of course, which has more electrical connotations, electrical energy, such as nervous system. Then there is the water element, which is the universal solvent; and earth element, the prithvi, the actual crystallized matter. So now solid matter. Now this vata, pitta, and kapha, these three words that are involved in defining the tridosha. The first one we usually encounter, this vata, is more airy, more etheric, more spacious. In fact, the term spaced out could apply to vata person because of excess space in the mind. Perhaps they become forgetful, maybe prone to Alzheimer's. And a vata person who is dealing with either vata constitution from birth, the prakriti, or the vikriti, the current situation in the health, then whoever is dealing with vata has to help to balance these very light, dry energies of space and air with the more grounded elements of earth and water. So for that, then vata has the focus on the properties of ether and air. Pitta has the properties of fire, which transforms from one state to another. And then kapha has the expression of solidity, earthiness. So each one must function together in concept with the tridosha. So when we isolate that single phenomenon, vata, the air factor, then yes, we can go in depth with the psychobiology.
Okay. So can someone have all three? So we all have all three doshas in us, right? Like pitta,
Yes,
vata.
beautiful. Yes, and all five Panchamahabhutas, five great constructing elements, they're all present in all of nature and in every cell. However, we name something as Vata, Pitta, or Kapha according to the dominance. So if there's a preponderance of Vata tendencies, then we might use that term Vata constitution. But in fact, it's always part of a context.
Okay. So then I think my next question would be, what is pitta?
Very good. Of course. And then we will have kapha naturally.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So vata is responsible psychobiologically for the nervous systems. So central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, sensory and motor systems, all nervous systems are under Vata dosha because it's electrical type of energy. And the Vata governs movements of the body because it has mobile quality that informs its expression. So mobile quality means your elimination, your peristalsis, your daily rhythms, the Vegas, the actual natural urges. These are all governed by timing. They're all cyclical. So Vata governs most of these coordination functions. Then Pitta is responsible for digestion, hormonal balance, and for skin, eyes, comprehension, understanding, because Pitta is hot, it is sour, it is spreading, it is penetrating. So fire has different properties, and fire and water are the main constituents of Pitta dosha, but however, it's always part of a context. So it's never just one factor. We are a whole person. And then from Pitta, we see diseases of the eyes, perhaps diseases of the skin, Kushta. There's a whole chapter on skin rashes in Ayurveda, very expert in skincare, dermatology, but especially digestion. So the main function of Pitta is for excellent combustion of the food so that it leaves no ash, no residue, no toxins, no undigested particles that can become morbid and begin a disease process. So that's the most important function of Pitta, is digestion of food and digestion of life experience. Then Kapha, of course, in anticipation, is because the dominance here is now watery, earthy. So now we have diseases of excess water like prameha, which is diabetes. So in Ayurveda, there are some 20 types of diabetic change that are described. In Western science, there are 3 or 4. So the detail is much refined in the Ayurveda understanding of diabetic change. It's one of the more common diseases of kapha dosha: overweight, water retention, attachment to friends, family. Undue attachment means 30 years later, they may still mourn the partner. You see? So attachment is there. So psychobiology is present in Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Kapha helps us be grounded, regular. Kapha person, typically, if they're Kapha dominant, they're very reliable. Kapha will be very predictable. You can easily say, I will meet you at 3, person will be there at 3, 5 to 3, just to make sure. So that is more Kapha psychology. Vata psychology will be, 3 o'clock appointment. Gee, well, if I have something come up, then that means I'm allowed to divert. Then Pitta person has 3 o'clock. Now they're precisely on time. 3 p.m., perhaps a little late, because how many things can I do in the last 5 minutes before 3 minutes? Yeah, so they get distracted, like the hare, tortoise and hare. So Kapha will represent more tortoise, slow, methodical, purposeful, steady. And a Pitta person can get easily distracted and become more motivated by ego. So this tridosha is always in a grand dance of interaction, a grand play of expression of life. So those terms, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, they cover quite a gamut.
Thank you. So because the Vata is more, like you had mentioned, nervous, system. So anyone who has a lot of anxiety and constantly in that anxiety mode, or constantly, just easily, so we can say that they're highly Vata dominant or dealing with Vata imbalances, right?
Yeah. So, for example, if the person has sleeplessness, anxiety, panic attacks, or so the range starts with little worries,
Yes.
then it may go to anxiety, then it may go to fear, then it may go to panic. Do you
Yes.
see? So in the range of degree of disturbance, then we have to design the program accordingly.
Okay.
So yeah, sleeplessness, nervousness, forgetfulness, and irregularity. That is the Vata. They are very creative people. They need a lot of freedom. Air and space have a lot of freedom.
Mm.
They also contain the inspiration. So Vata person is often a poet, a cineographer,
Yeah.
filmmaker,
Yeah.
and will be involved in creative arts very often. They will be thin and they can suffer from underweight, constipation, but very typically they can get little habituated to worrying.
Okay.
So our teacher tells, why do you worry when I worry for you?
Mm.
Do you see? It's the same as the bird parable. Why do you worry about anything to eat? Because I have given all the seeds to you for eating. So if I do that much for the birds, how much will I do for my own image, for my human progeny, if you will?
Mm.
So with that metaphor, they feel, look, there's no reason, but we worry out of um, misunderstanding. So,
Mm.
the moment we apply the meditation technique, self introspection, self evaluation, self compassion, self forgiveness, all that begins a healing of realization. So then the person becomes more confident, slowly, gradually, by awareness.
Beautifully. Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you, Jaishriji. That was beautifully answered. I had a question. So, another question that I had was caffeine or coffee.
Mhm.
According to Ayurveda, what are some thoughts on taking coffee?
Okay, so it is a substance. It is a dravya. So there is the scripture dravya gunya, which is the properties of substances. I know it sounds like a very big topic, and it is a very inclusive topic, the properties of substances, dravya gunya, but we have to describe according to the qualitative expression and the action of the substance. So in the case of coffee, let's say, because caffeine appears in other food items as well,
Mhm.
but let's say it's coffee.
Yeah.
Now, maybe the person has had anxiety and then they had a bad night's sleep. So in the morning, they think, oh, well, I'll just have a coffee and then I'll feel better.
Mhm.
Well, now they do the overstimulation, which leads to a down. So that's why I call coffee a false friend, because it smells so lovely. People love it. And there's huge culture, huge investment opportunity also, by the way.
Yeah.
But the coffee is a leading to a crash after. So
Mm.
it's never really the answer. We can always find a better way to get to bed earlier, get better sleep, and improve the sleep so that worries and anxieties naturally are less. But there are different ways to prepare the coffee as well and to combine the coffee. Maybe you put a little cardamom powder, cinnamon powder. Uh, it has a right place in the, every substance has a right place. It can be a medicine or a poison, depending on the use, quantity, circumstance. So in the case of somebody who needs to sit their exam at 8 a.m. next day and they study till 10 p.m., they may need a coffee, you see?
Yes.
Then it has a right place. But for many of the situations and, certainly daily use, we want to really put the question mark because coffee does leach minerals from the bones. So with Vata person, they have very sensitive bones because bones are mostly composed of air. If you look at a bone, it's mostly air, mostly space. So that's why they're governed by Vata dosha, even though they're the heaviest and dense the structure of the body. But the coffee will become acidic, which is cancer forming. Now, it's not directly disturbing the cells, but it's with chronic long-term use. So it's called a slow poison.
Okay.
Coffee. So it has a right place, but let us use it in a proper way. Certainly not every day, and certainly not to wake up properly.
Okay. And can we say the same thing about the chai that we make at home?
Very good question. Yes, that's my nickname, Jaisri.
Oh.
My friends called me Jaisri. So it does mitigate any negative effects of caffeine. So my most recent chai that I made, for example, chai meaning spice tea.
Yes.
So first of all, I left out all the heating spices and put just cooling spices, made that with little vegan milk, coconut and almond. And then that makes a beautiful chai, which is a beverage that has the properties of the spices that you may have put in that day and the ingredients you may have put in that day. So you may not even put any sort of milky type of food. You might only put just the water and the spices. And of course, that water will be modified according to the properties of those ingredients, and that will be the post-digestive effect.
Okay. So because of the spices and that we put in, it does make the change, right? Like where the coffee is just a straight coffee with milk, right? Where chai, we add the spices and
yeah, so black tea has little caffeine, even green tea has little caffeine. But the difference with green tea, let's say you percolate your coffee in a stainless steel pot.
Yeah.
After some time, you will see the brown stains. Okay, so think about that in your body and GI tract. Next, you will cook the green tea in there, and slowly, all that brown will metabolize away. So
interesting.
Yeah, carefully observe, and all the secrets are revealed according to quality, the guna, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the dosha. And then other enumeration is the dhatus, the 7 tissues. So we have to see each food substance, whether coffee, green tea, any, in relation to you, the individual, and your particular metabolic system. So when you read an article, the latest, greatest discovery, this is great, that is great, you have to ask, but for whom, when, how much, and with what? So that's the way we were taught by our teacher, Dr. Ladd. Always ask those questions. Yes, it is good. Carrot is good, but for whom, when, how much, and with what? All that we have to answer before, so we have to know then the property of the substance.
Beautiful. Thank you. And my next question is, even in my shop, I get a lot of clients who have trouble sleeping, right? So it's like, I'm seeing that a lot, and especially in the heat these days too, right? So what are some Ayurvedic herbs we can use if someone is having really trouble to sleep?
We can think of some sedative herbs, valerian. There are many. There's a huge family of sedative herbs, chamomile, hops, lobelia, so many. And now the thing is that the lifestyle may be a place to better look for treating sleeplessness, to bring the meditation. Because meditation, if we're having sleeplessness, mind is churning moment to moment. And yes, with the heat here, of course, it's also just the fan may be noisy, and there are other reasons why. So there are always challenges to it. But when the person has a regular bedtime, 9 o'clock, they sit for meditation, they review the day, they resolve whatever is unresolved, then they don't have to churn it at night, you see. Then, as well as they're getting up in the morning, early morning meditation, now they look more subtly at their own mind, their own body, their own relationships, own life, and find out, look, where is excess mobile quality in my mind? Why is it agitating so much? Why is it obsessing? What can I do as the owner of that mind to calm it, teach it truth, which means what is your power in a particular situation, bedtime, midnight, 2 a.m.? What are your choices? So meditation is shown to be more effective than sleep in almost all psychobiological processes. The TM people have a lot of doctors, and they have analyzed this, documented it with very scientific language, that meditation, as the sages have always said, is much superior to sleep for restoration, for rejuvenation, for refreshing, and for happiness, actually contentment.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jaisri, for joining us today. And thank you everyone for watching our videos. If you have any questions, leave us a comment below. And I'll also leave Jaisri's email and, her website link. So if anyone's interested in connecting with her for a consultation, please click on the link or leave us a comment below. Thank you. Thank you, Jaisri.
Thank you, Nav.
Thank you.